we're actually doing a matchmaking service right now.
When you get a dog or you rescue a dog, you're forming this new relationship with them. And this matchmaking concept and service that we would love to tap into, we want to educate people is that dog the right fit for your family, regardless of the breed or the size or whatever kind of dog it is? What's the energy of that dog and the temperament, and can it fit within the family?
You building content that would train people to train and do what you're doing, and then you've kind of developed this passion, we both have, but a passion for dealing with service dogs. That's where we've really, something that's not necessarily the easiest thing to do, but you've got a unique skill set. Having a beer with Fred is really about getting to people's passion and what makes them tick. Having a beer and having honest, frank, clear conversation that inspires our audience is what it's about. I always go back to that December 26th date where we met last year, just before New Year. Yep. We're at a point now where we're talking about really what you see as the business. And as you guys have seen, there are times where you're like, is this really going to work? Is this a good idea? Should we do something else? But have you ever thought, is this a bad idea? Have you ever thought that? Honestly.
No way. I mean,
what time?
No.
Yeah.
No, I mean, when you're doing what you love with people that you love, it's just a matter of working through the kinks and figuring out what's going to work and maybe what we should kind of leave on the side saddle for a little bit. And here we are in Maine, now I think the last podcast we did, we were still in Florida, but now we're up in Maine at Shipyard, and we're starting to kind of fine tune really what dog wear and care is, which is exciting.
And it's good to have a partner that's so flexible on letting us figure that part out too.
I've got a lot of things going on.
Yeah.
This is your primary thing. So a lot of times I'd back up, and, my job really is to kind of give you my honest opinion, but things you might not think about because you haven't necessarily done it before. Mm-hmm. I mean, you've been in business for a while. You've been working. You've done a variety of things. Obviously, together, we've created a lot of content. Mm-hmm. I look to what your real skill sets are and then try to outsource where your other skill sets. I think you building content and, that would train people to train and do what you're doing. And then you've kind of developed this passion, you both have, but a passion for dealing with service dogs. That's where we've really, something that's not necessarily the easiest thing to do, but you've got a unique skill set for that. And you were talking earlier about how Portland and Maine and Greater Portland has so many different shelters that have dogs that are needing homes. And really the key is to get out there who wants a dog, who really is committed to having a dog, and who can have the wherewithal and the home and the energy and the time to do that. And then it's, do you want to do it for service, people that need service dogs?
Yeah.
Like, what are your thoughts there?
Yeah. I mean, we're lucky to be in a place in Maine where there are such a dog friendly state, New England, really. But one of the things I think a lot of people struggle with, and what we've noticed a lot, is like there's compatibility issues. When you get a dog or you rescue a dog, you're forming this new relationship with them. And where we want to educate people is that dog the right fit for your family, regardless of the breed or the size or whatever kind of dog it is? What's the energy of that dog and the temperament, and can it fit within the family?
So how would somebody get a hold of you or dog wear and care if they actually want a service dog, or they just want a dog and they want somebody to actually assist in training? And what's the best way to get a hold of it?
I mean, you can go right to our website, dogwearandcare.com. You can find us on all the social media platforms. But info@dogwearandcare.com is probably the simplest and easiest way to get a hold of us. And,
especially if you're in New England.
I mean, we
planning for the future, Florida. You're talking about locations important. You're now going to live in St. Pete or St. Pete Beach, that area, somewhere in Tampa Bay, and in Maine in the summertime, mostly.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you will, like we were talking, you have abilities to deal with all locations, but logistics and location matter.
Yes.
Really people that are in the, and you also have been doing quite a bit of work in Fort Lauderdale area. And so the Eastern Seaboard is probably easier in New England, Florida.
Yeah.
But
and our connections, though, it's really great because we do have a lot of connections all over the country. So, this matchmaking concept and service that we would love to tap into. We have connections in California, but then Florida also has so many shelters, and we're lucky to be up in Maine where there's some of the best shelters I've ever seen. But the goal would be to start moving these dogs out of these really concentrated areas and get them up here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Find the right person.
Yeah.
It's like you said, speed dating for dogs.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Dogs and humans. Right?
Yeah. If we wanted, talk about pop-up events and stuff.
The cool thing too is when we're doing the service dog stuff, we have a service dog that we're currently training, and we're actually doing a matchmaking service right now. With it, we told you a little bit about this, but we have a dog now that we're currently finding a home for. The client reached out to us in Fort Lauderdale. We actually met her from a previous workshop, and we have the dog now. And we actually we ended up finding a person for this dog within a day or two.
Nice.
And Caitlin is amazing with connecting people, and we also have a really great resource, which is Angela in California, that helps us find these dogs and stuff like that. But this one came through just mutual friends that were like, hey, we need help finding a home for this dog. And
so what's the great thing about networking and communicating through podcasts is this opens it up to a huge group of people that want to have a dog, and people that may be working in a rescue that have certain dogs that may want to connect with you.
Yeah.
And you and Adam both. And one of the big things in the business side is really trying to develop what areas you're best at, or what areas you want to focus on.
Yeah.
And you had indicated that, service dogs is definitely an area that you want to.
Yeah. It connects you with, for me, I love working with people. So, and I love working with dogs, but I love working with people. And I think that, a lot of folks, the intentions are always good. We want to rescue a dog. We want to save this dog, but then you get home and real life happens. And so how do you ensure that dog doesn't get returned to the shelter?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people, it can tap into the emotions when you go to these shelters. You want to, save a lot of dogs, but let's do it in a way that creates a forever home and not just a home for a little bit and then they get returned back.
Yeah,
and that revolves around education and connecting with people.
Yeah, it's not an exact science, but it's kind of a science, right?
Right.
And then at the same time, your ability to do video content, and you're going to develop training programs to potentially train people to train dogs and work with dog wear and care and wherever they might want to locate. And then your business of meetups and, really explain that other side of your business that you're looking to potentially do with dog wear and care and other parts that might be a franchisable model.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we do, the business that I have in Portland, Maine is called the Canine Clubhouse of Maine, and everything that we do
name drop
revolves around we build balance packs, and the goal is to get these packs of dogs out of the city. We service Portland, South Portland. The goal is to get them out of the city and get them out into Mother Nature, away from the city. So we call that program the Pack Adventure Program, and that's our bread and butter, and everything else we do is kind of stemmed off from that. So now we do these community pack walks where it's not just limited to our members. It's all walks of life are welcome to join. That's something I think dog wear and care would be great at doing. These community pack walk events, working with shelters, just even getting the volunteers at shelters to learn how to even handle the dogs a little bit better, so we can do little pack walk events with them. Yeah. And we also do, these little mini workshop series where you start to understand the importance of your mental health and how that directly translates to the dog. And so that's everything that we do.
To me, counseling you, it's really to set up a framework where you can train people, duplicate yourself, right?
Yeah.
So that you can only do so much yourself.
Yeah.
And then have something that works when you're not working.
Yeah.
Like digital content, the ability to have it really work to train. That doesn't mean you don't do any follow-up or, but I think that's the biggest thing today that you can do and own is brandable training that then develops an ongoing connection, and then really bring people in. Maybe it's 3 months, maybe it's 6 months, maybe it's a year, and then they're trained potentially to do it in South Carolina or some other region. And I don't know, you never know if anything's going to work as well as you hope.
Yeah.
But if you go in that direction, I find if you have an idea and you go and pursue it, and you're persistent, and you just keep, and you can see it. If you can see it, you can do it, right? So usually, I mean,
Yeah.
there've been a lot of times you fall a little short maybe, but the reality is we're here, sitting here. You guys got to believe that, okay, this is what I really want to do. I mean, you were mentioning about products. You were talking about an idea that you had. Well, we won't go there. We'll go that on another podcast. After you really make it work. Yeah, if you actually make it work and say, okay, is this scalable? Can this be done? And how will that be, monetized?
Well, I'm pretty persistent, and
Yep.
I like a challenge, so we can touch base on that on another podcast.
And this is a formidable challenge. Making something economical like this actually work and keeping it so that you're enjoying it.
Yeah.
I remember, I won't say exact. Well, I'll say Alan Pugsley one time, and it was like 2015, 2016. And he looked at me and he said, we've never made more beer. We've never sold more beer. I've never worked harder, and I've never really not enjoyed it.
Really?
It was like he got to the point where it was just too much. Middle of the summer, and we were brewing Pumpkinhead around the clock, and that becomes a thing where you have to find and get to the point where you're doing. There are going to be moments, right? There are going to be times when you don't necessarily love. Like, you don't love what you're involved in, but it's worth it to have.
Yeah, if you can see the vision at the end, for me, I did get to that point in my business. And what I needed to do was actually step away and get more education and more training. And once I did that, it opened up so many doors, and now I'm able to go live in Florida for a little bit and start another business and, and spread my wings a little bit further beyond Portland, which is, it's incredible. So now
in California,
I lived there for a little bit. Yeah,
you were working with Cesar Milan and
lived on a ranch and just focused on.
Met a guy. Brought the guy to Maine.
Thank God. Yeah, it's so nice. In Florida and Maine, both.
Yeah.
We figured it out.
Yeah. Well, no, and I've gotten to know you better, and obviously gotten to know Adam, and you're a great team. A lot of times, husband and wives, it can be complicated because you're dealing with business as well as relationship, and but it works. You've seen it work many times, and there are things that are tricky with it. Try to divide responsibilities. Try not to. And always let her make the final decision. We'll be fine.
Yeah, exactly.
We find that.
Well, we got to have it right first on that, huh?
No, the great thing is, we both are doing what we love. He's incredible with all, you've seen it, so it's a great marriage between.
And we have autonomy too. We have independence. There's a lot of codependent stuff that we do together, like this business with you, but she has her own thing, I have my own thing, and it helps to be like that. She actually started off like that, was like, no, we'll keep it separate for now. And I'm glad that she did, because I like to work with others and I work very well with others, but I'm glad we waited so we could figure out how to do it best. And now that we've entered into this with you, it really does feel like the most balanced version of ourselves entering into it.
Yeah. And if we get to a point where you need to scale it, we may need to have investors, we may need to do other things. So it's in my 45 year career so far, I've had a number of partners, and mostly the key is that they complement the circumstances. It's like everybody doing the same thing never is the best idea. You got to have people play to their strengths, and hopefully it's like anything, it works, and sometimes it doesn't look like it's going to work, and it oddly does. Sometimes it looks like it's going to be perfect, and for whatever reason, but logistics, timing, all these things play into it. You've learned that already in your business. But I think right now in the business, what are the top things you think we got to deal with this week?
For dog wear and care, the top three things. Yeah. I think for us, now that we've kind of narrowed down this niche of, yes, the products that was fundamentally what we wanted to focus on. But now we have our lane of service dog training and connecting with community. I think this week it's important for us to start to really think about, especially while we're here in Maine, let's connect with some shelters. Let's build those relationships. And that's something that can be done immediately. The products and everything, there's so much you can do, but we want to hone in on like one or two products. But for me, building the relationship with shelters, getting the name out there, starting to figure out like what a pop-up event would look like at one of the Sea Dog or Shipyard locations. I think for me, those two big things are like really important.
Yeah. Good.
The third thing is probably going to be somewhere underneath those two things. But for me, it's like, that's how I.
Over the summer, we'll be looking at the shelter stuff.
Yeah.
But I think that within this week, we will have a better grasp on the product stuff. You guys were having a conversation about certain sustainable products and stuff like that, and we're planning on doing that for our leashes and collars.
Yeah.
So this week we were hoping to get started on that and ordering all the supplies we need to start making making all the stuff happen. Yeah. So that'll be my goal for this week.
All right, we got a plan then. Cheers.
Exactly. Cheers. Cheers. There you want cheers?
Yeah, of course.